The age-old tradition of hubby spending Friday night down at the pub on payday has all but disappeared. But in some country towns, some old diehards still hang in there. The following story relays that blokes like Ned will use any excuse to keep it that way, even if it ends up in a payday dilemma. Old Ned sat in the waiting room of Dr. Percy Tree. His bruised frame was a mass of cuts, awaiting surgery. It was a sore and sorry sight that staggered in that night, and used to Ned's wild drunken sprees, Per scarce he'd picked a fight. "Another payday scrap, no doubt?" the medic asked of Ned, who vehemently denied the charge by shaking his old head. "Now, Doc, that's libelous kind of talk, 'cause just for once, old mate, I left the pub round 8 o'clock, and in a sober state. Intent on getting home, I was, to pacify the cook. For Perce, you know Maud's vicious tongue surpasses some right hook. But as I took the shortcut home along the Dead Man's Creek, I sensed a certain urgency, and things were looking bleak. At first me pace was just a jog, but then a full-blown sprint, and all the while I uttered threats no poet would dare print. 2 steps inside the front yard gate, I hurdled Maud's dog Blue, who took me for a crummy crook and tore me strides in two. In haste to flee Blue's drooling jaws, I sadly failed to see Maud's cockatoo upon his perch, who always hated me. A mass of cuts from Cocky's claws and bites from Blue besides, I frantically fought both them off and lengthened out me strides. The downstairs loo was just ahead, relief was now in view, but stumbled on Maud's old black cat, which then attacked me too. His claws sank deep into me leg. The pain was agony, though grasped the loo's door handle while I kicked the moggy free. With beads of sweat upon my brow, I quickly slammed the door, as what was left of my torn strides dropped down upon the floor. My poor old ticker beat like mad. My limbs were racked with pain, and vowed that I'd stay down the pub when payday came again. And as me heart rate settled down, me frame found some relief. But as I glanced down to me right, I stared in disbelief, for crawling through the rear wall, where there was a large hole, came Maud's old pet goanna Bert, whose hide was black as coal. His beady eyes surveyed the scene, his tongue flicked in and out, while I just sat there motionless, for there could be no doubt the slightest movement or a noise would force old Bert's escape, and trees were often his first choice, or something of that shape. Concerned about me aching limbs might prove to be the shape he sought, I hardly dared to breathe at all, and sat there quite distraught. The standoff proved to be intense. My mind could take no more. That's when old Maud came on the scene, and bashed upon the door. "That you in there?" came old Maud's cry, which sent old Bert berserk. And sure enough, those great long claws were madly now at work. At first the pain shot up my leg, and then me gut and chest. His front claws finally found both ears. His hind claws found each breast. The fight between old Bert and I sure caused a mighty din. Then as the loo door opened wide, old Maud stood peering in. She thought Bert bagged an old pervert, so joined him in the fray. And as she beat me with the mop, I'm sure it made a day. Attempts to make my getaway were foiled by my torn pants, which sent me stumbling to the floor, and as Maud took a glance, she recognised beneath the blood the frame of her old Ned, then rushed me here, a sorry sight, afraid I might be dead." "There has to be a moral, Ned," suggested Percy Tree, "to what has happened here tonight. Now, Ned, what could it be?" "I guess Maud's expectation is, on paydays I'm home late. So no more early nights for me. I'll just accept me fate."